Hey y'all, welcome back to InDFlix. Love Island USA Season 8, Episode 24 dropped. And listen, I know this episode wasn't the loudest episode of the season, but don't let that fool you because while everyone was waiting for movie night, this episode quietly changed several relationships. We got the first official date of the season, some couples got stronger, some conversations finally brought closure, and one relationship officially came to an end. So before we get into all this, if you're new here, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Make sure you leave your comments down below, share with a friend or two, and let's get into it. So we pick up right after the excitement of Meg Thee Stallion's visit and America's vote bringing Carl and Amora back into the villa. And you know what? The energy's starting to finally feel different. Casa Amor is technically over, but there may be some emotions that definitely aren't. Some islanders are trying to move forward. Others are still carrying their hurt from everything that happened. Carl sitting there with the guys, confirming yes, him and Aniya had a connection and he was hurt by her decision. And even Dylan brought up look, she might have some proving to do too because she said all these great things about you but wind up still picking KC, which was dumb. We can all agree that this was a dumb decision on Aniya's part. Carl's still open to see if there's anything that can happen with Aniya. But I don't know, y'all. I'm not feeling it. I don't think Carl's really feeling it. I feel like that will mess with anybody's ego. You see what happened with KC, right, when he didn't get chosen the first time. So I don't know. And KC, he's loving to hear this because he's hoping more of the tension and pressure will finally die down towards him. He did make a comment about Aniya being getting off his dick or whatever and stuff like that because it has been very hostile in the villa ever since KC made his decision. So now with this new distraction, maybe things will be a little bit easier for him. And then the girls debrief with Amora. They were actually very, very welcoming, which I was happy to see. She's just excited to be there. She doesn't really go into too much specifics about what she had going on back in Casa Amor, but she did, let them know, yes, she did have a connection with Sincere. And even Kenzie, posed the question, were you surprised? And she kind of, answered around the question. I don't know. Amora really came in trying to not start any, trouble or drama. So maybe that's just not her speed. But she did make a comment that got the girls, panties all in a bunch, where she said, Zach had his fun, but not as bad as Casey. And Kata took that and ran with it. She's like, well, what do you mean by that? Because Kata is still under this assumption that there was no really deep connection Zach had with the girl that was kicked off the show. So she's like, her wheels are spinning. She's turning into Aniya. She's like, nah, she said this for a reason. What do you mean by that? She wants her to go into more details. But at that time, TT pulled Amora away from the group to have their own separate conversation. So I don't know. The girls are trying to calm Kata down at this point. She didn't mean, she was just saying he was doing good. He was cool. There was nothing more. But Kata, you're smart. Okay. Ignore what all them other delusional females are saying. Go with your gut. She dropped a gem on you. Now take that. TT and Amora had a quick powwow just, to update her on what's been happening since she remained in the villa. Obviously we know tensions were high when the Casa Amor girls came over. But then she tried to tell Amora as well, Sincere is completely different. He is nothing like the Sincere that they know in Casa Amor, and he's been playing their whole connection and situation down. So she's wanting Amora to really tell Melanie what's up. You need to tell her exactly what happened, exactly how the connection went, because the way he's trying to play you down, girl, it ain't it. And Amora's looking that's kind of crazy. So the ball is in Amora's court on whether or not she exposes Sincere. From what we already know who he is, and I know Melanie also feels the same way. She knows who he is too. But now that she's here, the tea can be spilled. So Anaya got her man back, I guess. The one that she should have kept here in the first freaking place. Anaya has a conversation with Carl. And Carl lets her know, like, I'm still interested in exploring our connection. He's still interested in getting to know her. He's honest enough to say that after being left single during Casa Amor, his walls are up. And honestly, I don't blame him. He took a chance once already, so now he does need to protect himself. And the question really is going to really sit in for him, and I think everyone else is Anaya going to officially be able to like move on and get over Casey enough to truly give Carl a chance? In my honest opinion, I genuinely do not think Anaya is into Carl like that. Like, yes, he's sweet. Yes, Carl's a nice guy, but I don't think Anaya's into him, because there's no way. Same thing for Melanie with Corey, but like, there's no way you say all these great things about someone and he would have treated you way better than how you feel like you're being treated now and still pass that up for a possibility. So I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen with this. I know Carl has mentioned, I believe on After Sun, that he's going to probably explore other people, one being Amora. So I'm very curious to see how that goes, because now it's just like I gave you all that I can give you, and that wasn't enough for you to choose me. So even like this whole conversation they had was it wasn't as natural. Like it felt a little, tense or whatever. But the girl's smiling, right? That's what we love to see. She's smiling finally. No more tears, hopefully moving forward for Anaya. When I tell y'all sincere ain't shit, sincere ain't shit. Him and Amor have their, conversation. Just kind of see where, things remain, ever since we seen, his footage. So if you watched After Sun last Saturday, they also show footage of the guys telling the Casa Amor girls whether or not they were taking someone back with them. And then his whole thing of not choosing Amora, he even mentioned to her how if she was here longer, if they had more time, he would definitely be choosing her. But the way that this man had switched up on her, and acting like nothing occurred, there was nothing there, scary. And I get it. He's trying to prove to Melanie that he's all about her right now, but you should have been doing that. You should have been doing that. And now don't try to switch up now because Amora's here in your face. And you're not trying to really get on her bad side, because I'm sure she has a lot in her back pocket that she could, release to everybody. So I don't know. I didn't like how he handled this situation. He kind of like tried to bro her. Like, you wasn't broing her when you was in that bed humping her and making out and kissing and tonguing and all that extra sincere stuff that you do. So I think a smart enough girl, not like Melanie, where she's like, okay, this is who you is. I'm good off that and moving on, which I'm happy that she can do that. But sincere, you wrong for this. Gaul and Jen have a conversation of their current status of their connection. And Jen's more just going into him like, hey, I'm starting to feel like you're not really into me. Like, I don't feel like you're attracted to me. I haven't been able to remember if you said any compliments about me. And I'm just like, in the back of my head, I was rolling my eyes, because it's like, girl, why would you choose him to stay then? Especially knowing that he wants to explore Kenzie. You kind of brought this on yourself. And Gaul's like, oh no, he's trying to play it off. No, that's not true, blah, 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 blah. But it's clear at this point, like, he did what he needed to do in order to stay here, and now he doesn't feel like he has to do the most. But it was very awkward, because I guess she likes, physical touch, and he says, like, I'm not a touchy-feely person. Like, we need to figure a way to, like, meet in the middle. And he tries to kiss her and stuff, but, like, why are you staring at us while you do it? Yikes. That's scary. Like, it's coming off performative. It's coming off very performative, and I can do without. I can do without this whole situation. And he just needs to be real with Jen. Like, this, he don't want her. He wants Kenzie. Like, and he played the game. Like, this is what some people do when they come through Casa Amor. Like, I'm going to do it and say what I need to say to stay here to explore a connection that I'm really interested in. Melanie and Sincere have a conversation. He's basically just recapping his discussion with Amora, and that, he's completely done with that and stuff like that. And I guess, like, clearly he's done with it. I don't see him trying to explore anything further with Amora. But Melanie just gives off that she's like starting to reach her breaking point. But it'd just be so hard for me to believe that's exactly what she wants to do. Like she can act a certain way towards him, but then at the end of acting like that, you still up under him. So I don't know, like, is it even worth you coming at him so hard and so strongly the way you do if you still just gonna wind up kissing and hugging up under him and all this other extra stuff? Like even that night when they were in bed, she rubbing on his chin and stuff like that. Like this is why he's acting the way he acts. So you ain't that tired of watching what he does. And girl, when movie night comes and you actually get to see it in front of your face, we're gonna see how you really react. Kata confronts Zach on what Amora said to the girls, about him, doing whatever he was doing, just not as bad as Casey. And of course, what does Zach do? Deny, deny, deny. What really got me was Zach has not told Kata that the girl that he was forming a connection with, and remember, he was doing this in no regards of Kata, and I do hope they include the clips in movie night, that Shorty actually got kicked off. It wasn't him choosing to come back. He had no other choice. He didn't have a choice. So I just thought that was strange. I thought it was strange that he tried to play it off still, like Kata's not going to find out sooner or later what really truly happened. And Zach is playing the game, and then now he feels some type of way towards Amora, thinking that she's starting trouble. Like, no. First of all, Amora didn't really say that much, as much as she could. The video footage will show it for itself. But like, that was your opportunity to be honest. Like, yeah, we were actually really connecting a lot. We made out a lot. There was a moment where like you weren't a thought in my head. And I was just, going deep dive in the connection I was forming with her. She also used to date my brother, so that's another little, fun fact. And then kept it a being. Yeah, she got kicked off the show, and I think Kata she'll be upset and mad, but I think she would have respected more. Just like I expected, Carl is showing interest in Amora. They had conversations that night, but he also asked her that night before they went to bed what she wants for breakfast. And, he made breakfast for two. He did make breakfast for Aniya and Amora, but it was just something about Amora's plate. I feel like he did a little bit more an extra effort. So this might be a thing. And it's crazy. I'm seeing people outside as viewers saying they brought Carl back for Aniya. Y'all don't determine that. Y'all were dumb. Y'all can't determine, oh, I want you to go back for this person. No, he's going to go back and he's going to do what he wants to do. And I'm here for that. And just when I was starting to like Kenzie again, she goes back and starts acting like Kenzie again. She has a conversation with Kata, juggling her feelings towards Dylan and Gaul. And it's just like, girl, like, oh my gosh, she is never satisfied. Never satisfied. I hope the boys regret sending Soul home because she's doing exactly what the girls say Gabrielle was doing. Like, she's not satisfied. You can clearly see her and Dylan, they have a strong connection. But she's entertaining this thing with Gaul as well, talking about he is to a T her type. He owns a coffee shop. She loves coffee. And it's like, we've heard this before. Like, you said Sean was your type. You said Corbin was your type. You said Caleb was your type. And you also said Dylan was your type. And now Gaul, like, do you know what your type is? Or just say you don't have a type. But again, your close girlfriend, Jen, is coupled up with him. So I don't know. I'm not liking how Kenzie's starting to move. Again, I think she just likes all the attention. When she gets that attention from whoever, she's going to grasp on that and not want it to let go. And then eventually when that attention fades away or goes somewhere else, that's when she doesn't want to really mess with the person anymore. So I just think it's just messy. Amora and Melanie have their talk finally, where Amora, just tells her a little bit of what happened in Casa Amor with her and Sincere. She wanted to hear what Melanie's been hearing and just wanted to make it known like she wasn't just like a little blip and in his experience. And she did, honestly feel like he treated her as like a hall pass. Like he could have his fun and stuff like that, but knew he was coming home with no repercussions. And Melanie, I feel like Melanie, all she really cared about is if they did anything physical, like sexual, or whatever, stuff like that. I don't even think the simple fact this girl sitting here in your face and telling you, no, he was building a connection up with me. And I really wish, and I don't know if they cut it, I really wish Amora told her what that man said to her as he was leaving that villa. Because maybe that would have put the nail in the head. Maybe, because we know how Melanie, how she is. But maybe that could have at least gave her some insight of like, oh, he's really playing. Like, he's telling y'all exactly what he's telling me. But she didn't. Which is okay, because we still have movie night, y'all. So Melanie will soon see again in her face now this time how her man acts. And it's going to be up to her if she wants to continue to looking like Boo Boo the Fool. Corbin and Kenzie have a conversation. He's attempting to apologize for the comments and behavior that I heard during Casa Amor, but we know how Kenzie get down. Once she's off you, she's off you. She ain't buying it. She makes it clear that the issue wasn't just the one moment; it was just the overall disrespect to her. And part of me can understand where she's coming from, because before Casa Amor, he was claiming like they were good and they had this deep connection. I think she was feeling good in where they were. So Kenzie gonna move just like she moved with Zach. Just like she moved. Who else did she have an issue with? It wasn't just Zach, I felt like, but anyone that she's like, oh, you crossing me, you no longer exist. That's what's gonna happen with Corbin, and I'm sure Corbin doesn't mind. Permita and Corbin, otherwise known as Alexa and ChatGPT, have their own little thing going on. I be forgetting that they here most of the time, because they just be in their own little world, as they should be, right? As they should be. But it's starting to be like, okay, what's the intentions now? Because now I feel like we just on 100 grand mode, not really building a sincere connection, because how are y'all already closed off? They now are closed off. Mind you, Casa Amor was just a couple days ago when it ended. I get y'all sending each other's DMs. Unless, y'all, what if they really knew each other outside of this and planned to come on this show together and plan to act like they ain't know each other and mention the DM thing just in case it came up, but already had something. So, I don't know. I don't know. I hate to have, my third eye open and have all these different conspiracy theories, but that's just a thought, because it's like, ain't no way that you already going to close off so soon. Y'all just got together. He just got out of something. But they announced they're closed off. So it don't surprise me, because I don't see anybody else wanting to be with them and them wanting to be with anybody else. All right, so we did have a happy part in this episode. Trinity and Bryce were chosen for the first official date outside the villa. They head out for a jet ski adventure before relaxing on like a sailboat with champagne. And honestly, it was really nice seeing finally a couple enjoying each other without all the outside drama. But then Bryce, instead of waiting until the end of the season, where we've seen majority of the time, asks Trinity to be his girlfriend, and she says yes. So I can't lie, this was really cute. Considering everything that's happened this season, finally seeing a relationship actually move forward was refreshing, because that's the point of this show, right? But they have made it official. They skipped the whole close off thing, and he went straight to asking her to be his girlfriend. Now, I don't know, something about this season just has me a little weary on how people are moving in the villa. I don't know. Obviously, the seasons have changed, and all the different exposures some of these castmates get outside, I just be thinking everybody has their own hidden agenda. But I'm very curious when movie night coming up, what they show of Bryce. Like, I know he made the comment of her immaturity and stuff like that, and him not really being into that. So I wonder if they're going to bring that up, or if it's just going to be nothing but sweet nothings between these two. So later that evening, everybody's, getting around and talking. Kenzie's still all over Dylan, not being truly honest about the golf situation. Meanwhile, her friend Jen is getting broken up with because Gaul's telling her he feels like all this pressure now from her, and she looks honestly really confused. And I think it just goes back to how she originally felt, like he just was not into her, and he should have just upright and said that, like, this was his way of getting out of this, and he said it like, this isn't going to work. He's closing that chapter with Jen, and it's very unfortunate because Jen has not had any luck here in the villa with guys, so I think her time may be cut short soon. Aniya and Casey finally have their final conversation. So they sit down for the conversation we've all been waiting for. And honestly, I could have did without it. They instead of arguing, they were trying to convince each other to change their minds in a way. They did both acknowledge that things happened, feelings were hurt, and they're no longer on the same path. And I think they both mutually decided it's just time to move on. So, that's what the conversation was, but the conversation still felt like every conversation they've had since day one. And I think what really turned me off by the conversation with Aniya, unfortunately, she kept like saying, oh, you did this to me, you did that to me, you were disrespectful to me and stuff like that or whatever, but didn't give any reasoning on how he was those certain ways. And I think what's the problem here is, yes, you have every right to feel the way you feel, but just because you feel a way does not mean it's factual, right? Like, you can feel disrespected, but that doesn't mean he disrespected you, if that makes sense. Like, the only comment I can see from what was shown that he said about her was calling her grandma. That is not that deep to me, because if you are moving at a slower pace, that's what he's correlating it to. If he wanted to move at a faster pace and you're not with that, what else do you expect? You know what I'm saying? And she didn't even see that part. She didn't even see him call her a grandma. So it's just like, where is she pulling this information from? I have no idea, but I'm over it. I'm tired of talking about it. I know Casey's definitely over it. So he can go ahead and do his thing with TT, and hopefully Aniya can do her thing with Carl if Carl is still wanting to. But the chapter's officially closed. I don't see them having another conversation to, keep things going, as a relationship wise. I don't even see them trying to be friends after, because this was way too much and it really didn't have to be. So Kenzie and Gaul have a private conversation, and Gaul tells her, like, look, I'm shutting things down with Jen or whatever. And, of course, Kenzie's like, that's my girl, but we got to be selfish here. And, you're really someone I can see myself with, blah, 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 blah. So this is about to be another one. Dylan, run. Now, do I think Dylan's going to run to Jen? Probably not. Unfortunately for Dylan, his only connection was Kenzie. So I can see them both, probably Jen and Dylan, being, kicked off the island very soon. But yeah, this is going to be messy. Kenzie's a mess. Kenzie is one of the messiest girls on the cast this season. I don't care that she's exploring different connections, just the way that she's going about it. All right, y'all. That was mostly this episode. It wasn't that much. This episode was more about closure and new beginnings. Bryce and Trinity are officially boyfriend and girlfriend. Casey and Aniya finally closed that chapter. Carl isn't going to give up on Aniya, and Kenzie has every right, I guess, to move forward without looking back. Y'all, movie night is about to undo all the progress people made today, though, because Islanders think they've explained themselves, but they haven't seen the footage yet. And once the clips start rolling, everything is definitely going to change. But y'all, let me know, what do you think about Bryce asking Trinity to be his girlfriend? Too soon? And do you think Casey and Aniya made the right decision to just go their separate ways? Should Aniya fully explore things with Carl? And is anyone actually ready for movie night? I know I am. Comment down below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and join the InDFlix family, because we're covering every twist, every relationship, and every unforgettable Love Island moment. I'll see you guys in the next one.